Alright, hello everyone, welcome back to another video, and as you can see this is a bit more of a talking head, well not really, kind of video. Now, I've been doing this for quite a while, I've got some news. I've actually now got my own Discord server, and well, that's where today's video actually came from, because I was planning to do a GTX 480 SLI video. That didn't quite go to plan, but hey ho, it's what it is. And well, some of them requested that I do a bit of a setup tour, so that's what I'm going to be doing today. So on the camera here, I'll go ahead and go through everything as we go through. Okay, so I guess first thing you should really do is, well, decide which way to go. I think they're going to go from left to right. So, over on the left, because considering that my setup is actually also my room, so this is actually incredibly cramped. Actually, we'll start off with the shelves first, because biggest things in here are my two shelves. I've got one either side, one that's my normal stuff, as well as all my tools and stuff, which are sitting over there, as well as the one that is my huge part inventory. For this, which is actually, when my internet comes from, you see, our router is actually straight through that door and literally just across the hallway, and I have this little Wi-Fi wireless booster that sort of acts as an in-between so I can have decent internet in here without running a cable, because sadly I can't run a cable for reasons I'll get into any other time. A few other bits that I keep here, including the keyboard, which is for my secondary PC that I always keep plugged in just in case I need to use this, as well as a few other bits like packaging. To be honest, I could clean up down here as well. Anyway, moving up here, we have got, well, my planner. Now this obviously is used for pretty much all my videos. You can see, starting back in January when I got this, and we are currently, I'm currently filming this on the 28th of last month. How about that? And then of course we get over to the biggest part of pretty much anybody's setup, their desk. This one is incredibly simple. Like, first off, we've got the world's worst office chair, and I mean worst office chair. This thing's falling apart, piston no longer works. Like, no joke, this thing is held together with tape, belts, and a towel. But that's what it is. Anyway, so yeah. But for the desk itself, what it actually is just I believe it's actually a kitchen worktop that got cut down to size. On top of that pole, which is actually designed so that when I do finally get around to putting VR in this room, I can put a base station up there, pull this pole out, and then the entire thing folds down. Which means, of course, I suddenly now have pretty much this entire side to work with, because all this can, well, sit somewhere else when I'm using VR. Nice to have, right? I've also got my keyboard, my somewhat infamous, or somewhat famous if you've actually seen the video, keyboard. This one's actually my modified GK80, so you've got a load of blue switches in here, and the rest are sitting on reds. Anyway, also got my mouse, the cheapest mouse pad that I ever got. Like, I think I got this like 5 years ago and I just stuck with it. My version of Coaster, it's literally napkins. But why buy stuff if you're not going to go ahead and, get an improvement out of it, right? Like, granted, I would actually like some proper coasters, but I've got other stuff to pay for. Also, this right here, this is just the bag for this. But yeah. Also got my old mouse, which actually was part of a set with that keyboard when I first got it, so that's actually got a matching set. It's kind of nice. Obviously we have of course got a Big Sky sitting over here, all nice and pretty, with a GTX 1080 and 5900X sitting in here. Brilliant little system this. It's kind of shocking how much power you can get into just over 10 litres these days. And then of course we have got what you might consider my primary or my secondary monitor. I'm not sure which one it is. It might be primary, it might be secondary. I use it the most, but this one I use for like pretty much everything else. Anyway, so obviously this one that I go ahead and use for chats, YouTube, Facebook, pretty much almost everything gets used on here, unless I'm doing fancy stuff. Then it goes on here. Fancy stuff like, I don't know, I'm watching stuff in bed. There's a reason that there's a huge screen here, because it makes it nice and easy to watch. Not to mention 4K, which means you should probably go ahead and move over to this side of it. Now, moving over, we've got most of the cabling, which is admittedly terrible. But I'll just go ahead and, pull that off to one side so we can actually see what we're getting to here. Like, it is managed, but it's kind of terrible. But starting with the cabling then, so we've got the two Ethernet cords that go to my switch all the way over there. So you've got this Cat 5e cable that goes into my, well, wireless booster thing that's connected to that wirelessly. You get the point. Which then, of course, feeds down there along with this Cat 7 cable, which goes into this PC, which then hides all the way underneath there, comes out over here, and comes up to this little sort of cable hub, if you want to go ahead and call it that. Now up here, this is the microphone cable. Yes, this microphone cable, it goes ahead and goes through there, goes down here, and into its power supply down there, which then also transfers it into the cable that then goes from here all the way up to there. Also, of course, we've got pretty much everything that goes into the back of this PC, a load of cables that aren't plugged into consoles, but are there in case I need them. This would be nice if this TV had 3 HDMI ports, because I'm always short of one. As you can see by the fact there's always one that's tucked away somewhere, but there is a reason for that. We've got cables up here, just slightly above that. That's my little headphone stand, whatever you want to call it. It's a little bracket that I got really cheaply, but it came with some really nice 3M pads, so that's pretty nice. Goes ahead and hold my headphones there, nice and out of the way, nice and neatly, and could even double for cable management if I do get a VR headset. I am genuinely planning on. Anyway, coming around over to the right, and of course we have got screen numero uno, primary, whatever you want to call it. It is the main screen. So this one is one I do most of my editing on. It has actually got, unironically, a Kinect V2 up there. Yes, believe it or not, I unironically use a Kinect V2. There is a reason for it, and I do mean it. It's a webcam. Also, fun fact, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but you can actually use it for 3D modelling. Like, if you have a decently sized model, because it's not the best sensor in the world, you can actually use it as a 3D sensor, so you can go ahead and, make a 3D model. I've messed around with it in the past. It's kind of cool. So yeah, that's a fun thing to have. And then of course you've got the actual screen itself, which, editing, most of my gaming, I'm actually tempted to get a 4th screen to go down here, either a 4K 60Hz or a 1080p 240Hz screen that will go down there. I'm not quite sure. The thing is, I get migraines with over 60Hz, but that was a few years ago, so I'm not sure if it was the screen technology or something else. I'm tempted to try it again, but it's like, I don't want to be dealing with migraines if I'm working. Anyway. So of course then down here we've got a huge cluster of stuff. I mean, we've got the Xbox One itself, we've got a load of papers to balance it, so my TV obviously isn't going to go ahead and completely crush that or sit off to one side. Now, of course, it's time to get over to the last couple of bits on this side. Obviously, over here we've got my final screen. You rarely see this, you usually see it from like a sideways angle like that or whatever, because that's usually where I keep my scripts and notes, or where I keep my voice recorder, so I can actually make sure that things are recording. But yeah, that's literally, generally speaking, is what I use for recording scripts. Also, when it's not actually doing a video, it's where I also keep all my stats and stuff. And of course, then we have the beast itself, Dante's Inferno, which has seen quite a few upgrades since I did a video on it. Primarily in the graphics department. Whereas it used to be a 1080 and a 1030, this is now a 1080 Ti, and an R9 290. Now, originally this was just because I'm doing a video on R9 290, which goes up in a couple of weeks. But now it's sort of become, well, I have an R9 290, this is actually really nice, it's good for folding, and that's what I usually use it for. Not to mention, it's just a generally nicer card with more inputs, and you can see I've got a lot of screens. I have a ton of screens, which means I need a ton of inputs. So yeah, that's a nice to have. Also, the 1080 Ti is just a monster of a card. I mean, I got it pretty damn cheaply, but it's such a machine to behold. And then obviously down here we've got my Thunderbolt 3 card, which is a Gigabyte GC Titan Ridge. But yeah, and then obviously you've got my cable management. Yeah, you can see there's an absolute mess of cables back here, like Wi-Fi, USB, 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 Gigabit Ethernet, USB, USB 2 USBs which aren't used, one's USB Type-C, one's Type-A. It's just because, well, they're just annoying ports to use. I don't know why, they're a bit kludgy. And then obviously the ton of inputs, well, inputs and outputs for my graphics cards. Obviously you got graphics card A, my 1080 Ti, which has obviously got the HDMI which goes into this. The dual display port, which is actually going into my Thunderbolt card at the bottom, ready for when I do actually plug something into it. As well as my R9 290 sitting in the middle, and of course my 1200 watt HX 1200i sitting on the bottom there, making this a monster of a system. Right, this you will be seeing hopefully next week. This is my server. It's a Dell PowerEdge R520. It's currently, well, it is actually currently empty. Like all these are actually empty. I'm waiting to get the drive for these because, well, I'm getting 32 terabytes of drives, and 32 terabytes of drives is kind of expensive as hell, it turns out. So once they turn up, I will probably do another video on this after the video that's currently going up of this arriving. But yeah, so that is my server. I'm just waiting to get it up running. It's a nice server. It's a brilliant piece of kit to have. Anyway, moving towards the back, we've got my main switch. This is going to be, well, not switched out, but added onto at some point in the future with a 10 gigabit link. So what will happen is this will act as a secondary, a secondary network switch. So I'll have the 10 gigabit sitting on the bottom. I'll probably have two ports of this, either a port or two going into this, probably a single port of this going into the 10 gigabit switch, and then that will go ahead and let me have all these ports, so like consoles, anything else that I don't really need 10 gig on. Otherwise 10 gig will be plugged into server, PC1, PC2, stuff like that, very nicely, which means obviously I'll have a ton of networking capability for, you know, transferring files quickly. Also, a spare HDMI that's also got a DVI connector on it, because I occasionally have a PC over here for when I'm working on stuff like that system up there. When I was installing everything on it and make sure it's all running, I'll just on top of here, because, you know, it's a small system and all that lot, and hey, it saves trying to move extra stuff around. But yeah, so that's what my networking is, all that lot, and finally we've got my record player itself, which I really need to take better care of. But yeah, I generally use this to either play records, or what I, well, actually use it more often than not for is that cable there, not the one that's from the microphone, the one that's out to my speakers. It goes out to this, and this, as you can see, is hooked up to a load of speakers. So what happens is, I play music on here, music goes thump into the back of this, then straight out into the two big speakers up top, so I've got some, you know, pretty decent audio. But yeah, that's my setup. I hope you guys enjoyed looking at this. Again, thank you to all my Patreons who go ahead and make every one of these videos possible, so thank you guys, you really are the best. And, well, I guess I might as well go ahead and leave it here. Have I got anything? Oh yeah, I've got a microphone. I forgot to mention. It's an AT2020. I've already done a video on it. You guys know that. But yeah, I think that's pretty much everything. So guys, like it, you like it, dislike it if you dislike it. Any thoughts or questions, leave a form of a comment down below. Again, thank you to all my Patreons for making these videos possible. If you want to support me on Patreon, you can find it in the description down below. Other things down there, of course, my Facebook page and my Twitter, as well as my Discord, because that's a new thing. I'm going to make sure that I go ahead and about my Discord. Seriously, join it. It's a great place. There's loads of fun guys there. You guys will love it. And of course, hit that subscribe button and notification. And of course, hit that subscribe button and notification bell, because, you know, I always do more content. And I'll go ahead and catch you guys on the next one. Until then, this is the 117th con, signing off. Stay safe out there, folks, and I will catch you all in the next one. Until then, ta-ra.